Hey everybody, live once again. I'm going to give everyone a few minutes to join in. I know that it takes a little bit for everyone to get in on transmission. Hopefully the signal's good. We do the best we can. But we got a lot to do tonight, to be honest with you. Real good friend of mine, someone who I've been following. I always watch you guys on social media, all of you out there that share, the ones that ask questions, help with questions. I'm always following that. So I've got my buddy Justin here, and I invited Justin down to actually work on his setup because I saw a picture of him shooting, looked at his equipment a little bit, and decided to bring him in for one day. This morning we came in. I just took a quick overview of his equipment and then just realized really quick that what I'm gonna do is gonna make a great live feed. This is the kind of thing that I think I'm gonna continually bring to you guys, and I wanna show you all these little things. Now, a little bit later, once I get his bow done, I'm gonna take the camera and I'm actually gonna work with Justin some, and Justin is gonna get a little bit of coaching from me once we build the thing. But more or less, this is Justin's bow. How long have you had this bad boy?
Almost 2 years.
Okay,
a little
so
over a
it's
year.
2 years old. It's pretty much done a lot of things, I think. Well, you can tell. Most of the stuff you've done is from what you've learned or from what you followed in other people's forums. Is that correct?
Yours and other people's, as best as I understood the information.
Yep. So he's super avid, like a lot of you out there, super avid in all these different places to get information. And he did the best that he could. And unfortunately, there's a lot of things on here that are preventing him from being as good as he can. There's some things that are good. He's invested in good strings and cables. He's invested in really good accessories. However, how this is actually put together isn't necessarily good. And even with the arrows. Now this is actually, we're gonna set this up for an outdoor setup right now, simply for the fact that it was already set up that way. He actually has another bow coming that we were hoping he would have by now, so I could have done that one for indoor, but I'm gonna rebuild this one for outdoor. Actually just noticed another little problem you got right there too. So this is actually fascinating to me because Justin talked to me today about different coaches he's invested in, different sites he's been on, different subscription things that you've been on, apps you've bought. So to see this, to me, is like, my God, I gotta do this. This is why I'm doing this. So I'm just gonna give you a quick rundown. This is no joke. So one, we've got his arrows here. He's got X10 Pro Tours. These arrows half of his arrows were extremely dangerous. He's been hitting, I guess, something at the back of his target. You can see there's actually some carbon missing right there. I mean, this is 100%. If you have any cracking in your carbon, if you see any type of shattering in carbon, it doesn't matter what arrow. If you have a solid carbon arrow and you roll it down your knee like this and you hear cracking, you shouldn't be shooting that. If you have cracks at the back of your nocks, you shouldn't be shooting it. If you can see a crack in your nock, you shouldn't be shooting it. The other thing, his nocks are to the point where they're fairly loose. So there was one arrow today, even out of the 3 good ones I had, that was continually going high. And he was he's like, well, I made 2 good shots again. Well, I got down there and the nock was continually moving, so he was making contact on the rest. Above and beyond that, I'm just gonna go through several things here. One, okay, right away, I'm actually gonna use the arrow. I built him, he got a dozen Pro Tours for going on this live feed. So you're welcome.
Can't beat that.
So I built him a new Pro Tour. You can see this nock position is actually low. The arrow's running high out of the bow. This nock how it actually fits in the pinch. There's a lot of pinch here. This arrow, if I took the point out, it'll actually lift off the arrow rest when you pull back. Another thing that I haven't showed you yet, I just now noticed this, Justin. So you've got, whenever you have strings and cables and you have a cable slide like this, one of your cable slides is gonna, or one of the cables will be further in than the other. The way you have this set up right now, you have the shallower part of your cable slide, the one that's shallower, closest to the inside of the riser, you have on this cable right here, which is actually your control cable. Your control cable runs on the outside of your bus cable, so you actually need to have this slide the other way. And if you want to know how to do that, if you take your cables off a slide like this, you're going to find which one is on the inside, and wherever they naturally cross, so right here your cables naturally cross right there, you can actually see that even though you have a nice set of strings and cables, you've worn, you're almost ready to break strands there, unfortunately, because you were pushing these against one another. So what you want to do, they naturally cross under the cable slide. Sometimes they'll naturally cross above, but wherever that natural cross is, whichever one is on the inside, which in this case it's going to be the one to the back, you're going to put your slide on. That was ninja skill.
Yeah, that's good.
You're going to put your slide on so the shallower one is in the back. So I'm going to put this on just like this. I'm going to go ahead and clip this back in. That's in, that's in. So now you actually have separation right there. See that separation, everybody? That's what you have to have. Now if you have a roller guard, you're not going to have that. So you've got your cable guard moved in, that's a nice thing about the Hoyts. You can adjust that cable guard if you want to. The thing is, now that we've switched that around, most likely your timing is going to change. It has just a little bit, so I'll have to fix that later. Bringing your cable rod in like that, on a longer setup like this, I think clearance-wise, with that particular vane, you'll be okay bringing it in that far. I personally might think we should budge that out just a little bit. Okay, so that's the noticeable things. The other thing is he's got a peep sight with a clarifier. Not personally my choice. I know some people need them. The way this was tied in there, I don't know if you did it or if someone else did it, but there's just a lot of excess material there, and the more you wrap around in different configurations around that string, the harder it's going to be for that peep to balance when it comes back. So I'm going to change that too. Your D loop is not correct, so you're actually torquing your string more because you have your D loop coming off the string on the right side on the top, left side on the bottom, which we want that to be opposite. If you're a right-handed shooter, you want it on the left side of the string on the top, right side on the bottom. Then from there, your scope is actually slightly angled. Can you see that?
Yeah. Slightly
angled. So what happens there is when you slightly angle your scope, you're going to start to get a reflection of yourself. At this angle, you'll start to, like if you wore a white hat, you're going to see that glare in that scope. Or if the sun is up behind you, you're catching that flash. You don't want that. You always want your lens parallel with your elevation bar. So we're going to have to move that as well. The other thing is I can tell just by looking, your third axis is actually off. Your scope is not running parallel to the arrow shaft. And when I put the arrow on, your center shot is slightly off too. Now, what's crazy is, Justin is no different than a lot of you out there. I mean, I just threw a lot of stuff at you guys that's wrong with this particular setup. And if you're a mid-advanced to an advanced bow mechanic out there, archer, you're probably gonna be thinking, man, that's a whole bunch of, why wouldn't you notice that? Or what kind of shop has he been in to notice it? That's the reality. I've been there. I mean, I've walked in, I've been an archer that was shooting the semi-pro class that walked in with a setup where people practically started laughing at it. And that's what I'm here to change. I mean, we're going to change that. There's no doubt about it. You know, this is, for those of you who listen to the podcast today, this was pretty much the motivation behind that podcast and the motivation behind me deciding to bring this whole knock-on platform to a level where I can interact with more of you out there, because I want to get rid of this stuff. Honestly, we gotta get this stuff cleared up. And you know, I'm going to train a lot of people of you out there with these feeds, and the main thing is, already in a few short weeks, there's people that within a day's time are already reposting a feed almost identical to mine, and some have given me due credit and some haven't. But you know, I ask that, you know, realize if I'm teaching you something, at least give some credit where credit's due, and let people come to this page and learn the way that, you know, I'm willing to teach, and willing to teach without, you know, breaking the bank for people. So we're going to work on this bow. I'm going to start on, well, I'm probably going to start on, if I lose my voice, that's going to suck. I don't know sign language. I'm probably going to start with the rest first. I'm going to get that rest to the position that I want. Right now his blade angle's steep. I'm going to bring that blade angle down. He has a freak show rest, which is a little bit further forward. I would put one of my rests on there, but sorry, dude. I only got my one. So here's the thing. I'm going to start with the rest and get that in the position. I'll probably leave this where it's at from now, but with that long bar, you certainly could bring it behind the tech riser if you want, which
People want to know when your rest is going to be for sale.
Yeah, okay, well, so here's the deal. Right here, here's a look at the new arrow rest. This is pretty much what you're going to get. Well, there's a few little accessory parts missing, but this is going to be the knock-on arrow rest. So when you get it, it's going to come just like this. It's going to have the whale tail on with the arrow holder, and it's going to have the half cage, which is what I personally like. But it'll also come with a full cage. So if you like a full containment, you can take the arrow holder off, and you can have a full cage that has a little drop slot right there. If you don't like the rubber part, you can cut that rubber part off right there and have a slot to drop your arrow into the cage. Then here's the brand new brackets. So you can take the same rest, and it'll come with a bracket that incorporates the octagon blades, just like this. What's awesome about this is these blades fit in the exact same every time. So you don't have to worry about it tilting or slanting around. The tolerance is dynamite. The set screws on this new one are actually in the same position as the whale tail. So when you loosen these two and slide this off, you'll now be able to slide the new bracket directly on, and when you tighten these down, it's going to tighten down on the flat part of that cage. From there, the new lever arm has the new lever bracket is finished. This thing's awesome. This is the new lever bracket. You're actually going to be able to shoot a blade with tension. You can adjust the tension with this lever arm if you want. But what's nice about it is you can actually tighten this set screw on the bottom, you tighten that down, and it'll lock this rod into position. And from there, you can then loosen this screw here and move this collar up or down to where you can then adjust your blade angle to the position that you want. What I normally do is I'll adjust the blade angle where I want, I'll tighten the set screw to hold it there, and then I'll loosen the screw and adjust the collar to the position. But that's pretty much the exact angle I would want if I was shooting a blade. This is actually the blade that I'm going to shoot on my indoor bow. But one rest is going to be able to do it all. You're not going to have to buy different brackets or anything. So the big question is when
And where?
and where. And I can tell you right now, they're making as many as they can. If things go as predicted, I'm not going to be able to sell anywhere else at first except for the website. So they're going to be on our website, knockonarchery.com. I'm planning on putting them on Saturday. It's understood that the first batch will be able to ship on Monday. Okay, so they're not going to ship Saturday, but we are going to take orders. The first whole batch, for those of you listening, the first batch is not going to have proper packaging. I'm forced with an issue here. Either I wait for packaging to come in where it looks good, or I get these out to you guys. And I think there's enough of you that don't care what the packaging looks like. It's going to be in a plastic bag with a card stapled to the top, but I am going to do a video showing you exactly how to put this sucker together, which is going to be really important. But those will be on Saturday. Price, I'm almost positive, is going to be $200. I wanted to come in less than Hamsky. I wanted to come in less than a QAD. I want to be able to give one rest to do it all, and I want to have it at a price that you guys are going to agree with. So that's that. I gotta get some. You want to talk about anything?
No, I'm good, man.
Okay, I'm getting coconut water quick. Yeah, I'm not. Just so you guys know, not a sponsor.
I was going to say you're not sponsored by coconut water.
Yeah, no, I'm not. But I had a bad cold after coming back from the Boone and Crockett Club annual meeting, so I'm getting over that. I need to wet my lungs and my esophagi.
They want to know if the new rest will work for left-handed shooters.
Yes, so I will have lefties. I know that I put in a certain percentage for left-handed people, so lefties, you'll actually have a left-handed rest. It's fully micro-adjustable. Like I said, you'll really the only thing we're waiting on is a long Allen wrench, so that you can use a long Allen wrench to take those 2 set screws out to change your cage. From there, that's really it. If you want to fully silence this, it'll come with Teflon tape. I don't personally use any. I've hunted without it and I've been fine. But however, on another bow, I took 2 little strips of Gorilla tape and actually just taped them in a little V on both sides, and it worked dynamite and it wore like iron. So we'll go over that in the video. We got to get cracking on this sucker. So I'm going to remove this sight. I know that I'm going to need to level this thing later. So I'm going to just set this over here, get this out of the way. We're going to need to level this. Okay, I can tell the frame's vertical, second axis actually looks close, third axis is off, so that's fine. What I'm going to do now is, this rest is a little bit kicked up, if everyone can see that. The rest is kicked up. You can see that that bar is going down. I'm going to loosen this and I'm going to square this rest off here. So there's a couple things. One, let me get this heavy back weight off. I mean, I could kill carp with that thing. I mean, honestly, that you would use that to like finish off an alligator guard.
Hey, that's way lighter than.
Well, okay. Don't point the finger at other people.
All right,
Justin.
all right.
You know, it's just you today. So we're going to square this up. The other thing too is, and it was my understanding, you kind of asked some other pros what kind of arrow you should use.
Yeah.
And in all fairness, that's a loaded question.
Yeah.
Especially when you're talking with barreled shafts. Barreled shafts or tapered shafts like X10s, Pro Tours, they're a whole different tuning realm. They're totally different, totally tricky. So with those shafts, it's slightly different on, you know, it's not like I can tell you on an aluminum arrow. If you're shooting indoor, I'd probably say, well, if you like a 2315, start there. You know, what's nice is you can buy different weight pro points.
Mm-hmm.
You can get, there's a wide range, so you can really change the tune of that arrow simply by changing the point weight so much. But with this, tapered shafts, barreled shafts, there's a lot more that goes into that. So what I'm thinking personally, if it were me, right now you have a 420 shaft, okay? And when you pull this back, it's actually cut very long for, you think it probably sits about right there?
Yeah, pretty close.
Okay. So if it sits about right there, obviously your arrow rest is forward and you're shooting a 420. It seemed to respond okay. We didn't really fine tune it yet. And everyone watching, you guys need to realize that, you know, I'm not gonna get to everything in 1 or 2 episodes. I mean, this train's rolling. There's gonna be times where we're gonna do things very specific just about X10s or specific about Pro Tours. I'll be able to show you guys this summer the difference between a stainless steel point and how that tunes versus a tungsten point. I mean, there's so much crap that I do that I don't have enough space to write about, but right now this is totally my state of zen right now. I mean, if I'm able to just talk at the camera, no different than if I'm talking to you people that come to see me at a seminar, I'm in my perfect little spot right there. So looking at this, he's got a 420. His rest is forward. It's cut a little long. At the poundage that he's shooting, these limbs are backed out a little bit. And at his draw length, personally, I think that arrow is going to be a little bit stiff. What I would personally like to see if it were my setup is I would actually go to a weaker spine. I would try that. And we're not going to do that yet because obviously there's costs there. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take what he has and I'm going to make a few tweaks to it to see if a weaker arrow will respond the way that I want. If I know 100% that the weaker spine is going to accept what I'm trying to do, then at that point, we're actually in a good position because this rest now has the ability to be moved back, which is going to give us the ability to slowly cut off the front of that arrow, which is a weaker spine, but will slowly stiffen that arrow to literally bring that grouping comparable to the grouping that he has right now. Well, I know our grouping is going to be better just from the build of the bow, but overall, it didn't shoot that bad. But I'm certain that in the end, we'll be able to build an arrow that has a better ballistic value, meaning it's going to be a shorter projectile, it's going to be a slightly smaller shaft, we're going to be able to load more weight in the point, and because of that shorter arrow overall, we're going to have less wind drift, and this overall setup is going to be more favorable to you as the archer versus just going with someone saying, take some 420s, you're afraid of how much you cut, so you leave them safe, and you just maybe play with your poundage a little bit to just get them as shooting the best they can. Hey, we've all been there, but we're not going to be there by this time next year, I can promise you. So first things first, I'm going to move this rest. If I have an Allen wrench. Are there any questions rolling in while I'm just doing a few of these little things?
People asked a lot of stuff about the rest. People asked about the knock to it, when it's going to be available.
Knock to it's right now are waiting on internals. We've got another limited amount of silverbacks that are coming. They're being finished hopefully in the next week. Then there should be another big run of knock to it's that are going to hit our website hopefully just before Christmas or possibly after. I'm not quite sure, so you're going to have to, be like the rest of the world, and you're going to have to just wait for them. The best thing you can do, Sharon cannot keep up with pre-orders. You have to go on the website. You actually go to the knock to it or the silverback. You click the little box that says notify me and you enter in your email address, and as soon as we load them on there, you're going to get an email. And at that point, we don't have control on how fast people act and order, so that's how that's going to happen. Okay, so I've got your rest. See how your rest is parallel? Got your rest square to your cable guard, right? I just brought I'm moving your left and rights in right now. And all I'm doing here is I'm looking down I'm looking down to the center of the string, center of the cam. You need to be directly behind me, Justin.
Straight above or just directly?
Yeah, right there. They need to be able to look. When I eyeball a bow, I mean, I do this a lot just by eyeballing. I'll knock the arrow, I'll line the string down the cam track down the arrow shaft, and then I see where the arrow shaft is coming out the bow. Right now it's coming out the dead center of the tiller bolt. So I know for a fact on a Hoyt, especially an elite riser, if you have an elite riser, their torsional stability is the best going, period. Any of the shoot-through riser designs are going to be stable that way. If you want a bow that lines up down the pipe, any type of a shoot-through bridged riser is going to have more stability. No question about it. So from there, I lowered your blade angle a little bit. This blade stiffness is to be determined. It's a little bouncy for me, but I think we're going to go with it. Yeah, that's a lot better there. I can move your rest down just a little bit. So now I'm actually going to tighten up a few things. I'm going to tighten up this set screw. That's totally the wrong one. If there's questions rolling in while I'm building, that's the good time to ask.
Yeah, people are just, I mean, one question was how much does the straightness of an arrow affect the flight of an arrow? Another was about the clarifier. A lot of people talking about
straightness of an arrow. Today on the podcast, so it's podcast 88. You guys need to go in, make sure you listen to the podcast. Podcast 88 talked about arrow straightness specifically and how much it does affect the arrow, and it plays a huge part. It's been proven that an arrow straightness, a variance of straightness as much as 0.02 on an arrow can be a difference of 2 points. And at one time, I know that over 80% of Olympic matches were decided by 2 points or less. So having an arrow that's just 0.02 out comparable to the rest of your arrow shafts is going to play a huge part. So when you look at why do people pay the kind of money they pay for a Pro Tour or for an X10, it's because you want straightness tolerance that are impeccable. That's what you have to have. If you're going to compete at the level that most of these pros are competing at right now, and just so you guys know, this is a freak show, so I tightened a set screw on the bottom, and then I double tightened this. There's two different screws that actually allow you to adjust your blade angle. I adjusted that blade angle. I like it somewhere around 35 degrees or so. A lot of times if you have a bow that continually gives you a high tear through paper, it's because that blade angle is too steep. A lot of people shoot blades that are too stiff as well, and that does the same thing.
You answered about blade angle. A lot of people are asking that. And then what about, somebody asked about your take on tennis grip wraps on bows.
Everyone's got different preferences on their wraps. I've used just athletic tape on my grips. I don't personally like tennis wrap. I don't like anything that adds torque. I like to not slip. I don't like to slide as my hand sweats. But I also, don't like to... You've moved this rest a lot, man. I can tell by how much, how rounded out your little dealy-mabobs are. Good news is you won't have to do that anymore. We're going to have this thing shooting dynamo. So I'm going to set this right now just at 90 degrees as a reference. I got to make sure I move your sight down so I don't...
People want to know what the bounce should look like on a blade that you prefer.
This bounce right here is pretty good. You don't see if there's too much bounce. If there was too much bounce, if this blade was too weak, this arrow would come off. And when it comes off, that's a pain in the butt when you're drawing back and it's coming off. This Freak Show blade, it's a little narrow for my personal liking. It definitely has clearance. But typically you have to shoot a slightly stiffer version just to hold it on. Depending on the type of, it seems like depending on how your cam breaks over and how it hits that wall will really determine whether or not you're able to draw back with a launcher and not have it fall off. A big part of what I teach in my shot routine is the different things that we talked about last live feed, and one of those things is your grip position, but most importantly, anytime anything changes, you have to cancel your shot. If one of those 5 things, your stance, your grip, your shoulder, your anchor, your peep, if at any time during your shot cycle one of those things are not in place, you have to cancel the shot, and they need to be in that order. It's for a very specific and strict reason. So what happens is when people are at a tournament and they draw back and their arrow comes off the rest, and then they pick the arrow up and flip it onto the rest at full draw, in my book, you've potentially just given me a point because of the fact you've repositioned your hand at full draw when this bow as a system is at its weakest point. If you grab a bow at rest like this and turn it with your stabilizers on, if you have a lot of weight in the front, it's still rigid. You draw it back to full draw and you check the stability of it, it'll have a lot of swing because all of the tension on the string is less. All the tension goes through the center of the bow, not to the outside of the bow. So
people should let down.
Let down, reset. The thing is, if you're always doing that in a tournament, you need to get that figured out. Either you have too much knock pinch, your blade angle's wrong, your blade stiffness is wrong. There's a lot of different things that can factor in. So, you've got to get that part figured out. So, all right, we've got this adjusted. I'm pretty much at a point where I'm pretty happy with that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to just set this in a press for now. Just going to set this. Beautiful. It's already ready. I didn't even have to do anything. And by the way, there's not very many of these presses left, people. These presses. Come around over here, Justin. For those of you tuning in this week that weren't tuning in last week, I bought a ridiculous amount of these presses so that I could make sure all the people in my live feed could actually afford one and be able to do this stuff with me for these next few years or until I get tired of doing it. So these are at a really good price as well at knockonarchery.com website. I feel like I don't want to be a commercial, but in the same sense, at the rate we're growing for people that are finally starting to come in and find all this, I've got to be repetitive. So
yeah. People want to know if you're lining up the bottom of the arrow with the middle of the burger hole.
Okay, so on this particular one, the bottom of the arrow shaft is through the dead center of the burger button hole. I'm doing it that way on this particular bow. Now, just for the reason where if I have to move all this too far right now, then what's going to happen is I'm going to have to move this peep. I'm going to have to retwist this string. Once I change this proportion right now as peep is coming back to the proper, if I move this down, I'm going to have to move this down, then I'm going to have to change strings. I'm trying to do right now what we can do within our time with this live feed. So ideally, I would probably like to start it a little low, but if he's happy with how this bow is holding and aiming, then you're not.
It's okay.
And we don't know right yet. He's got some other issues, but if he's not happy with how it's doing, then the next step is to actually change the position of our pulling point, which can then certainly affect how that bow is holding on target.
Does vane placement change with the length of an arrow, or do you always keep it at the same measurement from the nock?
Personally, I've had a length. There was a time several years back where I played with putting my vanes at all kinds of different lengths, forward and back, And I just found that this particular distance, I've got, as Justin saw, I've got one jig that's set up specifically for X10, one that's set up specifically for indoor arrows, one specifically set up for axis or other arrows. Each one of those, over time, I've kind of figured out that distance. These are my FITA setups right here. I'll just give you a measurement. This is an Easton pin knock, and let's see. So I'm exactly, with my FITA setup, I'm at 1¼ inches from the throat of the knock to the back of the vein. The other thing that's important about that is it also gives me proper clearance, because as most of you know, I like the string to come at a rest just at or slightly behind the corner of my mouth. I want the arrow in the safe zone of my face, so between my chin and my lips. So I want it in this safe zone, and when it's in that position, these fletchings and this particular cut of fletch will be clear of contact. That's important, okay?
Can you talk about the difference in grip height between the Podium and Prevail? What should be the pro cons between the two?
So grip height, you can come right in here if you want, Justin. I don't know how much of this you want to show. So all I'm going to do right now, we're going to replace this. So what I'm going to do...
See, I'd never heard that before. Left-handed shooters, one side, right-handed shooters on the other side.
Well, you should have watched the Knocked Ready to Rock.
I did watch it. Maybe I didn't pay
Didn't take notes.
Yeah.
Yep. So see what happens in this case, if you're on the right side here, the left side there, ultimately your loop is turned like this. Can you see the direction you kind of need to go over oops, sorry people. See over the top, that angle? The problem is when you have your release and your right-handed shooter, clip your release on there, your right-hand shooter, you turn the release this way to fit your face. So you're actually counterintuitive on that direction of your loop. If it was going the other way, it would actually be like this, so you would put less torque on your D-loop. So I'm going to take this D-loop off for right now. One thing that can help you, well, in a way it can help you. My dad always taught me, if you want to cut yourself, just work with a dull knife, which is valuable. However,
I think that may have a practical purpose in life as well.
Yeah, because you try to saw something hard enough to where you end up sticking yourself. But when it comes to like servings and removing knocks and D-loops, I actually like to have a knife that isn't razor sharp, just so that I'm not like cutting one little strand with barely even making any movement. So what I'm going to do, because I had this where I wanted, I'm actually going to remove the loop, and because this is actually really tight, I could actually remove one or the other. I'm actually going to remove the bottom knocking point, okay? And I'm going to tie a bottom knocking point in the exact position that I would want it to be, and then I'm going to tie a top knocking point. If I undo both, then I don't have a reference, so I'm just going to do one for now. Any other questions?
Oh boy. A lot of people. Do you prefer a blade rest for indoor or outdoor 3D, or is a drop away rest just as accurate?
Well, arguably, at one time, I wasn't the biggest fan of a fall away rest, because the tricky part to a fall away rest is really getting the cord tension exactly perfect. And on some of the more parallel limb bows, that becomes a little bit more touchy. And if you have too much, then you start to change the pressure on your power cable, and ultimately start to change your cam synchronization. So if that cord stretches, then you have to watch that too. The limb-driven system I've found to be the most repetitive system out there, and it doesn't put pressure on your power cable or change your cam synchronization. So although at first I was a skeptic of a limb-driven system, I do prefer a limb-driven system. Now, it's hard to say that the repetitiveness and the simplicity of a blade, especially over the years that we've all shot them, it's hard to say that anything's more accurate, because arguably they've been the most accurate over time. They're super repetitive. They're super simple. However, I personally think with this rest, there's going to be a lot more people experimenting with a limb-driven type blade system. You've got a lot of different options now. So I know one of the best shooting bows that I had for FIDA field archery was a Pro Elite with 3,000 limbs and spiral cams, and I actually had a fall-away rest on it. A lot of the archers in Europe have been shooting fall-away rests for years, and one thing they found with the fall-away rest is they incorporated a spring system into the cord, just because they wanted to minimize the pressure on that cable, and they also wanted to have some give just in case that cord started to stretch over time. However, I've never been a fan of having a spring in between my rest and my limb or my cable, because as soon as I snag that thing on something, that spring bends out and you're kind of hosed. I've seen that happen more than once at tournaments, and things like that I don't particularly like. So I gotta get moving here.
Top or bottom limb when you're doing the limb driven?
I like to go bottom, because, and that's a big reason why, just so you guys know, on these rests, you know, for those of you out there who are complaining that this was the same rest that's been on the market, no, it's not. This is a whole new lever arm. This lever arm is not like a stock lever arm, which I don't have here. It's actually made to specifically go down to the bottom limb. You can still go to the top if you want to, but this allows you to go to the bottom. It allows you to hold it down, pull it through, easily tighten that set screw right there. And it also, because of this design, if you're going to the bottom limb, the way this is turned so that your tension is correct, it also allows this to travel under the block to move your left and right the correct way. So the other thing too is, if you have it go to your top limb and you're a bow hunter, you go to hang that on an easy hanger, and if at the moment of truth's happening, you're trying to get that bow off that easy hanger, and your little string going up to your limb is in the way, then not so good things can happen. The other thing too is, with this rest, I'm a big believer in this. This is a steel cable. This is awesome. It does not stretch. You can tighten it down. You don't have to worry about it tearing. You know, I've got a small limb made for split limbs, small clamp made for split limbs. There's a wide one for the wider limb. There's also, if you don't have a Hoyt riser like this and you need a pad, it comes with a pad. I mean, really, I'm putting everything that you should need in that kit. Like, here's a little pad. We kind of got stuff strung out all over the place here. So what I did,
it's like
was
the Swiss Army knife of rests.
Yeah, it's like a Swiss Army rest.
Yeah, Swiss Army rest.
I like the Swiss. My Swiss archers are kicking butt over there, all you freaks. Kevin, Patrizio, all you guys. So we're pretty much doing the same thing I taught you guys last week. Going over and unders with double tie overs, double tie unders for the first several. Unfortunately, I'm using black, so I'm just gonna, I've kind of tightened it up, not too tight. I'm gonna wiggle this knock just a little bit to make sure it's seating properly all the way around, which it is, and this will be good to go. Any other questions rolling in from peeps?
We want to know if the cable tie-off has been changed on the rest in this version.
What specifically, what do you mean by the cable tie-off?
That's the only thing it says.
What the heck, people?
Is green the only color?
Green is the only cover for the arrow launcher, and you're going to see some green on that cage. If you don't like green, then you'll have to contact AAE and say, I don't like green, I want a black one. But mine's coming with green, people. Oh, well, you got to eat elk tonight.
Yep.
How was that?
It was awesome.
Got to experience
Right off the Traeger.
Yep. I'm telling you, people, I love that Traeger. I cook off it almost every day. I cook pizzas off it now. Got a pizza stone.
Oh, wow.
Yep. Got a little wood burning pizza cooker in the backyard. Yeah, we had elk. We had wood pellet cooked broccoli. What'd you think of that?
Pretty good.
Really good.
Really good.
Yep.
And soon you're going to show people how they can do it themselves.
Oh yeah. So that's one little brainchild Justin had, is he's wanting me to start kind of a little cooking operation for those of you who are tuning into the new website, soon to come alive. Okay, so I did the bottom one. Now I'm going to do the top one. Should I just do black again, big guy?
Up to you, man. This is your wheelhouse.
How are we doing on battery life?
Oh, man, I can't see that.
If we black out, people, then
Then you'll know what happened.
you're just going to have to trust us how awesome this turned out.
This is going to turn out great.
Yeah, it's possibly the best
Ever.
shooting bow in
In
history.
the world. Yeah.
Definitely history.
Mhm.
Okay, any other questions coming in? Now's the time, because
Yes.
once I start rocking and rolling, once I take over the camera, people aren't going to get their share to talk. And we're going to get to see you crap yourself
Yep.
on live footage.
Yep. My Hoyt Defiant Turbo, my tiller measurement is a little over 1/8 of an inch. Is that a big deal if both my limbs are bottomed out?
So his tiller is off by 1/8 of an inch?
I'm guessing that's what it means.
Okay. Honestly, I don't pay a lot of attention to tiller until I'm trying to get a bow to slightly hold better. And really, the only reason I pay attention to tiller is because tiller adjustment also fine tunes your draw length, and it also slightly adjusts your pulling position in relation to your pivot point of your grip. Earlier, someone asked a question about the placement of the grip within the riser. Certainly over time, we've seen bows that have the grip dead center in the riser. People think that's the best way. Then we've seen grips start to go further beneath to where the actual burger button can be in the center of the riser. I've personally found that when the handle is slightly below center, the arrow's running through center. I've had a really good luck with those. However, I've had really good luck the other way too. You know, the main thing is, what you're going to find with that is on some of the bows where that grip is closer to center, you might have to bring that arrow much closer towards the center of the bow, versus when you start to bring that down, you can actually have it a little bit further away because that arrow wants to be in the center. That's why when your hand's in the center, a lot of people had to run that arrow shaft very, very close to center. That's why recurve shooters, where their hand's in the center, you know, they're running that arrow very close to the shelf. Okay, so I'm just gonna make one more tie here.
I think you already said it, but people asked about silverback availability. Maybe they're new on the feed.
There's gonna be some silverbacks that are gonna come, hopefully in the next few weeks. Honestly, we already know what's coming, and for the amount of people that have requested them,
You better do it quick.
some people are gonna get screwed.
Took me
there's-
3 times to get a knock.
There's
to it,
literally
so.
nothing I can do about it. We've completely shut Carter down. I mean, poor Forrest. Forrest is like, well, I tried to say, can I pay you to work Sunday? And, well, you just slam the phone down on me. He's like, that ain't happening. So, yeah, they're busting their butts, and they're trying to keep up with all the other Carters that get sold on top of what I'm trying to do with these. So the next big batch that's coming is going to be Noctuits, and once those are gone, we're all going to be kind of screwed for a while, the way the whole production schedule is looking. So, okay, I've got this knock fit in there. I've got a little bit of spacing, which I like. See, you don't have a lot of knock pinch. You got to factor that in. With this particular knock, we're going to be good. If by chance we took like on your arrow, Justin, you were shooting the G pin, so it's thicker. So this will actually be, this could arguably have a little bit more pinch, but we don't really know that just yet. So D-loop, I don't think I'm gonna go fast on this. Okay. So anyway, I'm putting it on the left side of the string. Well, here, I'll just show you guys fast. You're gonna have to watch this back. Make a J, my side of the string, flip it through, pull it. Yeah, I'd stay tight with that. So both are on my side of the string, insides. So gonna tuck your little goat right in the center. Pull that down. I want this to be flat. Pull all that slack out. Snip it. And I'm gonna fuzz it. Maybe get it to where that black background is behind there. Yeah, that's good. And so I'm fuzzing it up. That way when this mushroom burns down, you'll see it's gonna roll down. Flame always goes up, people. Flame goes up. Tap it. Got a perfect little shroomy right there. See that little shroomy? Now I'm going to pull this slack out. That's why I like having a little bit of length on my loop. This stuff's cheap, dudes. Buy a whole spool. Look at this. Call BCY, call Chris Destin or Bob Destin, or just call Lancaster. You can pick. But either way, if you're at a tournament, you see those guys, just buy 100 feet of this thing. It'll give you 100 D-loops. I cut a foot off each time, and I always have like 6 inches laying on the ground, but it allows me to pull all the slack out like that, and I like that. So there you go. So, okay, now this time, sorry guys. See how it's naturally saying, hey, what's up? I want to be like that. That's what we want them like. Now you can go crazy loop like that guy I saw.
That guy, gosh.
Yeah. Well, it's probably about like that.
It was about like that.
Yeah, this is
anchored back like behind his ear.
Yeah, that's a tooth ripper outer.
Yeah.
So let's bring her down to a normal level. You really want to always have 3/4 of an inch, people. That allows you to not have, it allows your jaw to close properly without binding it on there. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this through. I went under, came towards myself, went through. Okay. Now I'm going to lay this tight against the bottom of that knock. I'm going to come towards myself, under, pull my slack out like this. I'm going to stack them. I do stagger them before I cinch them in. So I'm going to pull this slack out. I want to steer clear, homie, before I rack you in the riblets. Hit you in the riblets. You can see I've got that in the center like that. So yeah, now that I'm being nice and like showing the whole world my super tricks, I'm leaving it up to you guys to police all the people that keep ripping me off, plagiarizing my stuff. Not that I'm the only person to ever tie a D-loop like that, but at least when someone shows me something cool, I say it. So there we go. That's tied. Your peep is kind of a little bit
How do you
wacky.
know when it's time to change a D-loop because of wear?
Well, if you start to see the core of your D-loop pulling through that D-loop, it's questionable. You'll start to see it really weird where it's starting to fray. You can start to see the core is visible. That's when it's time to change it. So I'm going to pretty much get this in position right now. These Easton pliers are awesome. And Actually, my buddy Isaac Ailman, he works at Easton. He's in charge of clothing. He's like the coolest dude on the planet. Do you know him?
Besides me, right?
Well, it's second. Yeah, definitely
coolest.
second
Second
coolest.
coolest.
And he's in charge of clothing. So help Isaac out and buy an Easton hat. That's what you want to do. I think Isaac should be...
He can be tied for me with the coolest.
Yeah, he's tied with you for coolest.
All right,
but,
I'll
you
give you
know,
that one.
every now and then he sends me some fly gear. And I always like this hat. It's a cool little logo. Matches my hoodie. So there we go. We tied that. Now, I'm not sure when...
we won't say the name of the shop.
Yeah, did Spider-Man do that? Or
Yeah, it was Spider-Man shop.
okay, so is his name Peter?
Yeah, it's Peter Parker.
It's Peter Parker. That's Peep tied by Peter Parker.
People want to know how they can get private coaching with you. So is there a way coming up that they're going to be able to do that maybe if they are lucky?
I don't know. I'm debating that one, dude.
No, like
You're
through the
totally-
new platform, maybe.
Are you throwing me under the bus already? So
No, you mentioned it on the podcast today.
okay, well,
Might as well
So-
mention it again. People are asking.
we've decided that there may be an opportunity through the new. This is going to take 16 days to freaking undo this mess. So I don't know if I really want to do that for right now. We got to get you shooting.
Just leave it then.
Yeah, I might
It's all
just. We're going to take care of this hog tied action. This looks like you gave a Boy Scout 2 feet of rope and told him to tie all the knots in that book. Yeah.
You did a good job. He passed.
He
got
did.
his merit
He
badge.
nailed it. So, yeah, on the new platform, the new media platform, I'm considering having the ability for people to have one-on-one interaction as a guarantee. What'll happen is the people that are in on that tier level.
Starts with digital interaction first.
Yeah, it'll start with digital interaction, and because of this whole thing, today I kind of got a soft spot, and I decided that I think what I'm going to do is actually do quarterly drawings for people that are subscribers to the new digital platform, to where I'll have quarterly winners that'll be able to come in here with their setup, and we're going to do this exact same thing, no different than I did with Justin.
So what you're saying is my bow is so sucky that you're going to help people out?
Well, the cool thing that would happen is if people came here and they were so awesome that they could actually start telling me what to do.
Yeah.
That would be the ideal
That would be
thing.
cool, yeah.
I mean, I would be jacked about
I can tell you
that.
what to do with a computer, but not with a bow.
The only person that's good at telling me what to do is Shaz.
Yeah,
Yep.
maybe
I mean,
shades.
Yeah, she says I'm not good at listening, but
You didn't really pay attention.
I didn't actually know what she was talking about when she said that. I tried to listen. All right. I'm gonna. You don't mind if I
No,
move
you
that?
do
to
whatever you want, man.
Okay,
is
I'm gonna
your
bring
wheelhouse.
this in a little bit. What I like to do is when you tighten it, when it breaks, you just back off about a quarter turn. So, yeah, you've got good clearance here, and you still have a good angle. Like when I look at this, I'm not pulling your cables outside of your cam track. You know, if you pull this too far out, you know, if it's totally out here, you'll notice that you actually have to bind. You'll get a lot of serving wear. What's nice is when you bring it in, you can ride true to your tracks. So
Somebody asked if you can show how to check cam lean with an arrow.
cam lean with an arrow? Well, that's pretty easy.
Yeah.
You just go like this. But, you know, some people will stick their arrow on the edge of a cam and then they'll see where that arrow's turning. Like for example, this arrow is slightly going down towards the right side of the string. So it has a slight lean. You can adjust that by moving these spacers to different sides or changing your spacers, which yours, I won't even ask you press this. This is questionable right now. This is actually questionable if someone pressed this with an improper press. Did you buy this bow new?
Yep.
Okay. So
We won't name the shop again.
that's okay. Yeah, we don't want to throw anyone under the. You don't know, but has anyone ever tried to press this like on location at a shoot?
No.
You sure?
I'm sure.
Okay, because
Unless Spider-Man took it when I wasn't paying attention.
okay, because if here I want to show. Let me see this. I'm going to show you guys. Give me that. So see the arc. Whoa, trying to find out where my finger. There's my finger. See the arc in that axle right there? If this cam was ever pushed solid on something, like people that press their bow down on the ground just to like add a twist in their string, that's how you bend an axle like that. That's arguably bent. What I would do is, we're running low on time. What I would do, yeah, hog dong hoop knots, Ryan Bronco. So right there, you can see that arc. If it were me and we had the time, I would pull that off, pull this string off, but strings and cables off, and just spin this and make sure that that cam was spinning free. For right now, I'm gonna keep going because we gotta be able to, but you can see it that way. So now what I will say, crap, we gotta do your sight still, dude. What I may do for right now, I might just put your stabilizer in. Just put that in, and let me just double check this. With tuning like this, there's fine tuning that we may need to do. So this is no guarantee. I do know that we're gonna have to level that sight, and I wanna work with J Balls, that's your new name. Okay, that's still outside, just look down the top. I'm gonna bring this in a little bit. Okay, I'm liking that. I'm liking that. That's a good start, maybe a bit low. Screw it, I'm just gonna move it down. So we do need to change your sight a bit. That's gotta be done. But I want you to shoot a little bit. I want people to, there's something I wanna work on you with your form. I'm just gonna see if this is close. We're already over an hour, so I don't know how much time I'm gonna have.
That's an awesome stance you got there.
Well, yeah, a midget shooting a bow. All right, so pretty much all I am is straight left. So I did need to move that in. There's a couple things there. One, we need to see how that changes with your big old side rod, because this can do a lot to that pretty quick. And yeah, it needs to come in anyway. Should have went with my gut, man. Should have moved it in. But yeah, bring that right down the center. Look at this dialed and profiled. Make sure my knock is good for position. Indexing, good clearance. Okay, we're coming back. Let's see how this changes now with one tweak and this big old ball smasher back rod you got here. I like how that tucks right in there. That's sweet. I mean, it's really nice. I mean, how bruised are you by the end of the tournament with that?
We're gonna leave that out. People like your stance, so I'm gonna show it, man.
Yeah, this is like kind of a stance that I've been working on this.
For a while. That's pro level shit right there.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people go like this, but I kind of come in more like that. I just want to show you that up close. So you start up here. A lot of people go back first, but that's not
That's wrong. You gotta go forward.
You go forward, then back, like that. And I'm in a full squat. I draw back with good power. And now I'm in here. Your peep's way too high for me. Okay, we're a little bit better, but we're still a fuzz left. So there's a couple things I want to do. One, I'm going to make a quick adjustment to this. Two, we're going to have to see how this actually shoots for Justin because it's way too short for me. So I'm going to make a quick adjustment there.
I can't do the stance though. I'm not that advanced.
But what we are going to do, like right there, you can see that that's a little left. I'm going to add some twists. I'm going to try to just change that cam a little bit, see if I can pull that in. I know that I can. We're going to do that. I'm going to level this sight really quick. This is an easy way. A lot of times you want to double check. You can level your second and third axis with your bow at full draw as well, depending on the type of unit you have. This is always a very good place to start for me, is one of these systems. I really like it. So I know this is off, and well, here, I'll just show everyone out there. So you're gonna have to come back here. I'll actually, let me grab that baby. Here. So you can see we're level back here, we're level up there. However, what's going to happen, because we're not square to our arrow shaft, we're not square to the shaft here, so what's going to happen is, because it's this way, when this goes up, you're going to see that bubble fall off to one side. So what's going to happen? It'll go to the left because it's to the left. So see, if you shoot uphill, automatically you're going to cant your bow to the right or to the left in order to balance that, and then you're going to actually shoot left. And what'll happen, same thing. Sorry, I'm going to move this forward. I'll tip this down. If you're shooting a downhill shot, okay, we're level here still. If you're shooting downhill, look at your bubble. And thanks for the points. Should have just wrote me a check. Okay, so there we go. Now what we're gonna do, you can see the second axis is correct because that bubble is level and this bubble is level when the sight is level. So I'm gonna hand this back off. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna swing this third axis in. Sucks, Justin. I mean, this is stuff that you don't know. Not you personally, but a lot of people just don't know. You know, you put a sight together out of the package and you don't realize you have to do all these little things. What's nice though is when you have a sight that actually has adjustment. Some sights don't. The other thing is, remember, your lens is not square. You want your lens square. So I'm going to go ahead and make a quick adjustment there. Bringing that square to you, it should be good. I think I know, whoa, crap, that might have been too much. I know I'm gonna have to bring it inside because we moved your arrow rest quite a bit inside from where you were. How far out did you have this, baby?
Right where the A is.
The
Like
A?
so, yeah.
All right.
You got it. Right there.
There we go. So that is fairly close. A little play in there. My personal preference to have play like that. I'm actually going to move this to the center, and then I'm going to adjust this. Justin, I'm going to move your micro adjust to the center,
Okay.
and I'm going to adjust the tube so that you have the maximum. And this is actually better. Just so all of you watching, it's always better to have your scope closer towards the frame, if at all possible, and utilize your micro adjustability. The further that scope is away from the frame, the more vibration it's going to send through it, and the more prone you are to break a rod. This particular one is not going to break a rod, but
20% battery.
20%. All right, people. I'm just going to move this in. We're going to get Justin shooting, and Justin will have to tell all you guys later
How awesome
how
it
the
is.
final steps came together. But I want Justin to do some shooting here. So hopefully your peep is where it needs to be. Otherwise, we're going to have to make do and slide it. So I'm going to take that camera. Justin, take your bow. For right now, grab that arrow and hey everybody. Yeah, I agree with you, Paul. I don't like the crosshairs. That's that kind of jams stuff up. So, hey Sean, thanks for coming in. So let's see here. So I'm gonna come around to this side of you. Put that arrow there. We're getting low on time, people, so let's go ahead and make your normal shot. Let's just do everything as you would. There's Justin, everybody. So here's Justin. Posture's good. He's learned a lot. Front arms, nice. Oop, I missed it. Go ahead and make another one. So he's shooting
HBC.
an HBC.
Mm-hmm.
Brass monkey. You funky monkey.
Funky monkey. No, that song will be stuck in my head all day.
Hey EJ, not mad at you, dude. I just haven't been able to call you back. So the way you're doing, okay, you're really pulling through. So he's really pulling through with that release. You can see he gets to the click, and then he's really trying to pull through using his back. Grab those two arrows quick, buddy. So the other thing I can see too by watching him shoot right now is a couple things. I can see tension in his front hand. I'm going to come around here. Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you guys. So I'm going to show you guys something. He's shooting a hinge release, and I haven't got into this much, but he's trying to shoot it the right way. He's got good load here. Okay, he's pulling through. I can see tension right there. There's actually tension in that elbow because he's really trying to pull through that release the way that you should. Ultimately, like a silverback would be gravy for you. So what I want you to do this time, Justin, is what you're doing to get to your clicker. You relaxing the hand to get you're relaxing the index finger to get to the clicker. Mm-hmm. Okay, so what I want you to do is to do everything exactly the same. Relax that index finger until you get to the clicker. From there, I want you to focus on maintaining the tension that you have right here. I want you to mentally think about holding that preload without letting go of it, but don't continue to build it. Okay, so you're going to maintain this. You've got really good preload there. But then what I want you to do is just slowly relax your index finger as you're trying to steady the front arm, okay? You're gonna steady and you're gonna relax the index finger. The other thing too is I want you to relax. I want no more white knuckles here. Relax this front hand, good. Okay, so now there's your clicker, way better, okay? Your timing is much nicer. So what makes this really, whoa, look at the group, Justin. See people?
4 yards.
One shot later, and you're closer to the gold too.
Yep.
See what happens, people?
You can't beat that.
One arrow later, and you're practically in the yellow.
Yep.
Okay, so in all seriousness, why I'm showing Justin to shoot this hinge this way is for this reason. Okay? Remember, relax. Yeah, no tension there. Now, I'm trying to show people stuff. Because he shoots this hinge out on the edge of his fingers like this, he is a perfect candidate for relaxing that index finger. How much quicker is that shot going off?
A good bit.
Do you feel steadier?
Yeah.
I mean, we're obviously really close.
And it's less strenuous, you can say that. So it's definitely more
So the
steady.
main thing is what I want you to focus on is you're gonna have tension free from this elbow forward. You're gonna have your hand on your release the way that you want to, and as you're slowing your movement in the front half, so like he's gonna say this is his pin, and right now when he's pulling, I can see that he's actually doing this. Okay, I can see this kind of tremor. A few people are looking at my thumb. There's this kind of tremor because he's trying to pull through that hinge and it just doesn't function that way. So instead, if he's gonna relax the front arm and just focus on steadying the front arm, then he can keep that hand position out on the edge where he has it and just relax that last index finger. Let's see how that looks. Anchor's good, nice, perfect position. He's very extended. This works perfectly this way. There you go, good job. Really good lines, good follow through too. I'm at 10%, people. 10%.
More.
What do you got? You got anything, J-Man, for me?
Nope.
You should get last, you should get last say.
Last say. You have a cool dog.
You got to meet Shades.
Yeah, she's pretty
Yep.
awesome.
You got steak on the Traeger.
Yep.
You got to meet Shades.
Yep.
You did not have any of my wine.
No.
And
Because I'd be asleep.
yeah. And you got your beanie all jackknifed like I normally wear mine.
Yep.
You're doing good. Yeah, good posture. Slightly open, which isn't my preference. I'm actually going to extend him out later. I'm going to move this up a little bit just so everyone knows. This people come down, triangle will go up. You can see right now his marks are coming through the neck. I'll change that slightly, but I'm at 10%, peeps.
I'm not, just so everybody knows. I'm
Well,
blank
I'll
bailing,
give you
so-
one more. I'll give you
Okay,
one more.
one more.
Yeah, we don't look
I'm not
at
even
the-
aiming, just so you know.
When you got shots like this,
You don't even have to aim.
yeah, you don't even have to aim. Just blank bailing and shooting 300s. Dude, don't snap shoot one through my wall. Oh, yeah, he's screwed. This is a terrible shot. Yeah, I don't really want people to see. So, all right. Hey, everybody. Come on in. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it. And, yeah, if you want to potentially shank one through my wall, then just shoot it the way I just taught Justin. No, in all fairness, that's training, mental training. So thanks, everybody. Appreciate it. And see you guys. I got to shut this off before a phone dies and I can't load it to YouTube. So see you, everyone.